The playoff hopes remain alive for your Seattle Seahawks. On this edition of Seahawks Today, we will examine the playoff chances for your Seattle Seahawks heading into the final stretch, the last 5 weeks of 2023. Before we get to that, though, between now and kickoff, we are in a sub-battle with our Niners channel here. We don't want to just beat the Niners on the football field. We want to beat them off the football field as well. Prove why we have the best fans in the National Football League and not those folks that, are throwing needles on the ground and don't have anywhere to live and, stay in those tents and all that in San Francisco. We're not about that in Seattle here, folks. Subscribe now. Let's beat the Niners in subs. Sub for dubs. And we'll get started with today's show. So, the Seahawks enter this weekend with a 6-6 record. They are smack dab at 500, tied for second in the NFC West right now. 3-game losing streak. Things aren't great. And if the playoffs started today, Seahawks would be outside these said playoffs as they are in the wrong end of things when it comes to tiebreakers, with Minnesota and Green Bay getting those 2 spots and them tied with the Rams in the hunt, one of my favorite terms, outside the playoff picture. You can see the Eagles leading the way, the Niners at 9-3 with the number 2 spot, Lions with the 3 spot at 9-3, Falcons. Somehow the NFC South still gets an automatic bid. Good thing they don't have Jordan Travis as their quarterback. They're the number 4 seed. And the Dallas Cowboys with that number 5 spot at 9-3. Still could swap with the Eagles potentially there in that division. The NFC West as it stands, Niners there, Rams with the tiebreaker over Seattle with the 2 wins, and then the lowly Arizona Cardinals are 3-10, but they do have Kyler Murray back now. So we'll see if they can ruffle some feathers, no pun intended, if you will, make things difficult for Seattle as they'll play Week 18. The fake news New York Times, when they're not making fake news, decides to put these NFL playoff chances together. And I got to tell you, it's not looking great for Seattle. Their chances to make the postseason right now, about 24%. Division title chances, less than 1%. Getting a bye week, they'd be the number 1 overall seed in the NFC, less than 1%. Hosting a wild card game, less than 1%. And being a wild card team, 25%. I don't know how their playoff chances are at 24%, but being a wild card team is at 25%. Blame the New York Times. That's above my pay grade. But you get the idea. So, we say all this to say, the Seahawks have their backs against the wall right now with the position that they're in. Being on the wrong end of those tiebreakers of 6-6 teams, it's put up or shut up time for the Seattle Seahawks team as they enter the final stretch of 2023. So, let me ask the 12s. Will the Seahawks make the playoffs or not? Y for yes, N for no. Will they get it done? Will we see them in the dance? Weigh in the comment section. Tell me what you think. All right, let's take a look at the NFC wildcard standings. Here's how this all stacks up right now. The Cowboys in, Vikings in, Packers are in, holding those spots. But it's very competitive, as you can see, for these 6 and 7 spots, with the Rams there, the Seahawks there. So that kind of gets us a gauge here. The Giants are that 12 spot right now, but it'd take a lot for them to get there. You're looking at from, that 6 spot to 11 spot. Those are all the teams competing to get in the postseason here that are in the hunt, if you will. The Seahawks need some help. Winning will be nice, and it's necessary, but you need some teams to have some bad luck. Fortunately, the teams that are kind of in the same area, the same pecking order as Seattle, aren't so hot themselves. Not a whole lot of very good football teams competing for these final playoff spots. So help could be on the way, potentially. More on the rooting guide we'll get to in one moment. But first, today's show, sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. Pick 2 or more players in any given category. Get the choice of more or less. And you can choose from anything like, let's say, fantasy points, passing yards, completion percentage, and more. This week, I got Lamar having more than 195.5 passing yards, Geno to have more than 242.5 passing yards, and Justin Tucker to have more than 1.5 field goals made. If I put $20 down, all three of these hit, I'm walking home with $100. You can walk home with some cash too. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS. $100 deposit match on your first entry. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. PrizePicks.com/CLNS to play along with us today. So now the rooting guide for this weekend. The Bucs play at the Falcons. Arthur Smith and company, they've been exposed. Go Dirty Birds! Then the Ravens, who had their way with the Seahawks a few weeks back. We're just a very pro-bird show around here. Obviously, Seahawks today, but we're going for more birds to get a win. Need them to beat the LA Rams this week, and I think they will too. So that should help and make the Seahawks path a little bit easier. The Vikings taking on the Raiders. Josh Dobbs against this Raiders team that is kind of hard to figure out. They're kind of a mess. I hate that we have to depend on the Raiders, but that's kind of the bed we're in right now, and we have to make it of sorts. Go Raiders! And then the Packers taking on the G-Men, the New York Giants. By default, I think there's more losses to come for the Giants. Holding that number 12 spot we mentioned. They're rolling with Tommy DeVito, the Italian chef himself this week. Go G-Men, I guess. That would make things easier. You do have a tiebreaker over the Giants, too. So if the Giants could help us out, that'd be good. The upcoming schedule for Seattle. You start off with the Niners this week on the road. Tough matchup. They took your girl and your lunch money the last time these two teams faced a couple weeks ago. Then you play the Eagles, and that's been moved to a Monday Night Football game. Joe, Troy, and Lisa, we get that night. That'll be a big stage against the top team in the NFC. Tough challenge there for this stretch that we've been talking about. You take out the Titans. I know the Titans aren't very good, but you still have Derrick Henry. Still have some key talent there that can compete on any given week, and it's a road game in Nashville. Hopefully the guys stay away from Broadway the night before. Then New Year's Eve, you take out the Steelers. The Steelers are contending for the playoffs. Offense is awful in Pittsburgh, but that defense is pretty dang good. And then you take on the Cardinals. With Kyler Murray back, nothing's a given here. So this is not an ideal stretch for Seattle to play San Francisco, Philadelphia, Tennessee, Pittsburgh, and Arizona. It does get easier from what it was a couple of weeks ago, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's easy necessarily. I think realistically, if you're the Seahawks here, your best situation here, split the 49ers and Eagles games. Get one of those two, either this week or next, and then you got to win the other three, and you'll be in good shape. You're in the postseason if you do that. You do that, then you're looking at a 10-7 record. It maybe wasn't the prettiest path to get there, but right now, you know the things I would do for a 10-7 record for this Seahawks team? You don't want to know. I would gladly take that right now. So, what do you guys think? What will the final record be for your Seattle Seahawks? Can they get to 10-7? 9-8 still might be good enough to make it in the postseason. Down but not out right now. Predict the final record. Let us know what you think. Subscribe now to Seahawks Today for daily Seattle Seahawks coverage, our news and rumors, live shows, and our watch parties. We will be here on the channel coming up this Sunday for Seahawks versus Niners. We'll get things going about an hour prior to kickoff with our pregame show. Smitty's going to join me. You will not want to miss it. Seahawks Niners live right here on Seahawks Today. A pivotal game for your Seattle Seahawks. You better believe we're going to be all over it. We'll have a few drinks on hand, play some games, entertain. Win or lose, we booze. We will see you coming up this weekend right here on Seahawks Today. You won't want to miss it.